This is Tim.
And Mulele.
And this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim with Mulele in Tokyo on Skype as usual, but last week we actually got to see each other and my brother who was visiting, Paul, who I usually do To the Bat Poles with. So we had breakfast together and it was a pretty good chat.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had been able to podcast something for that, but time is kind of hard.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, because he and I had planned to talk about this book for Deconstructing Comics, The 10 Cent Plague, and there just wasn't time. I mean, not only was he here only a week, but his wife and his son were here, and his wife has a cousin in Chiba, and so we didn't really get to spend as much time together as the times that he came by himself and stayed with me.
Yeah.
So... Yeah. And the night we were going to record, it was like the last night he had a chance to spend with my kids. So that kind of, canceled out the podcast. So he and I are going to record that on Skype tonight.
Yeah.
And you should be hearing it the Monday after this episode of Critiquing Comics goes up. Okay, so this time we're talking about Evil Witch Allie by Kristin Tipping. We're a little behind on our submissions again here. She sent this, when was it? Well, it was March 19th. So she has this on Webtoons, and then she also has it on her own site, evilwitchallie.com. That's Allie with IE at the end. Now it's a little easier to read on Webtoon, where like the whole chapter you can just scroll down through it. But in order to kind of gauge how many pages we were reading, since we always say we'll read at least 30 pages, I looked at her archive page on her site in order to see how it was broken down. But something I found that was interesting and kind of confusing is... So this first arc of her story called Black Hole, WHOLE, Hole, the first chapter on her site is billed as a prologue on Webtoon. And so that makes chapter 2 on her site the same, the same pages as our chapter 1 on Webtoon. So it's, if I say chapter 5, is it that chapter 5 on Webtoon or chapter 5 on her site? So that might be something she'll want to fix, make it consistent in both places, because it makes it a little confusing to talk about if I'm reading it on one and you're reading it on the other.
Well, I mean, I don't know how Webtoon works exactly, but I would assume that it's not her site, so she would have to deal with whatever their architecture is. Right.
Well, I mean, if it's a prologue on Webtoon, I would think she'd want to do the prologue on her site then. Obviously she has full control of that, so just change it on her site and then everything will be consistent.
No, it wasn't really an issue for me. I mean, I was just reading through it, and I don't know if it's necessary to really segment in such a strict way, but I kind of get what you mean. It is a bit confusing.
Yeah. So this is, I guess it's kind of light horror. It's kind of a little creepy. And it starts out with Jake, who I took to be a high school student. And he starts out talking, he's kind of narrating the story. And he's talking about this bog nearby, around the edge of Mirror Lake, and why he doesn't like the bog. And so that was the prologue on Webtoon. And I thought that kind of had some nice creepiness to it. And then it's Halloween, and he finds this little girl who's stuck in the bog, and she's got a pointy witch hat on. And he gets her out. Her boots are still stuck there. He just pulls her out of her boots. And he takes her to be like just a trick-or-treater. But yeah, apparently she's not. I mean, it seems at that point, like, she's talking about her ring and like it changes colors, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. But it turns out to be a little more than that. And then, and in the prologue, there's a hint that he is apparently romantically attracted to this other guy, Cal, his neighbor, who you can sometimes see his silhouette in the window at his house nearby. So now they're near Cal's house, and Cal's mom comes out and appears to be wearing some Halloween makeup. And so then that scene, for some reason, she invites them in, and that whole segment of the story felt kind of like I didn't quite understand why it was happening. I mean, other than to push the story forward, because it just didn't feel natural to me. Like, that Jake and the little girl witch go inside, and they're just like sitting on the sofa, and the witch, Allie, besides the pointy hat, what she's wearing looks like elementary school gym clothes in Japan. Almost exactly. And it didn't really seem like these were people who really would want to socialize, the mother and the high school boy and the apparently elementary school girl. And that part just felt kind of unnatural to me. After that, it was interesting, and I read the whole arc. I read more than 30 pages, but that one part just didn't quite work for me. And what did you think of it?
I didn't really have a problem with that part, and now that you mention it, I still don't have a problem with it, really. I kind of think that the whole thing is about loneliness, and the setup of the bog next to their houses, the kind of the lore of the bog, and the way the characters interact. Sorry if I forget some of the names, but the not Allie, but the boy,
Jake.
Yeah, Jake. That's right. I remember Jake. Jake is a lonely boy.
Yeah.
But he's not curious about anything, or at least he tries not to be. I think he's just kind of suppressing himself. Allie, on the other hand, is curious about everything, and she even tells him, if you don't do something, how will you know?
If you don't ask this boy if he likes you, you won't know.
Yeah, and it is, in my mind, a very correct statement. And in fact, for people who don't know, I have a question mark on one of my shoulders as a tattoo, and this is exactly why. If you don't ask, you will not know. And so for me, there's kind of I identify with it on a very personal level. But for the mother, for a point of spoiler that I won't get into, just say that she is also lonely, and I can see this lonely person asking them to come in, especially since they're neighbors and whatnot. It's not really necessary for them to go to her house, but she is the adult in the situation, and these other two are just kids. So I can see where Jake might have thought, okay, let's go there to deal with this evil witch.
Yeah, and maybe that scene just needed like a comment from him about this is kind of unusual or weird or uncomfortable or something. It's just kind of like okay. So the next she's asking them in, then suddenly they're on the sofa.
Yeah.
And there's no kind of reaction to the invitation other than just going in and sitting down.
Yeah. But I mean, I've kind of been in that situation where my neighbor invites me over and I just go, not because I want to go, not because I need something, but just because they invited.
Mm-hmm.
And this is me when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and this kid's a high school student, so it may be a little bit different, but still, I kind of felt that it's not so unnatural. For me, this story was well set up and then well told. I didn't think that there was anything that was unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Including what you mentioned here. I didn't really find it. It didn't bother me.
Okay.
It bothered you. And I liked the theme that it was dealing with. There was tension in between several of the characters. And there was a nice twist halfway through. And I thought it was a lovely story by the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall it worked. Just that one point bothered me. But as I said, I did read the whole story arc because it was interesting enough to me. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, kind of a nice wrap up to it. Although it's not completely finished, of course. I assume that some of this is going to feed into the next story arc.
Yeah. Actually, the next story arc is already started on another website called Tapas.
Oh, okay. So she's switched to Tapastic. Okay, but and it's of course
it's Taptastic.
Yeah, I think it's based on tapas, and they call it Tapastic. I don't know. I'm familiar with it somewhat. It's another site similar to Webtoon.
Okay, I just found it through a Google search. She's 4 pages into the next story. The art style seems to have cleaned up just a little bit, but it is basically the same style.
Yeah. Of course, everything is on her site too, evilwitchallie.com. And yeah, I see the 4 pages of the second book of Secrets are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, I didn't really read those, but I did notice that the art seems a little more something, a little sharper maybe.
Yeah, a little sharper, I think is a good way to describe it. The first 32 pages, which I am guessing is half of the first arc, is up as a book on Amazon.com. Under Evil Witch Allie. But it says out of print. So it was up.
Okay.
No longer available.
All right. Well, so you missed out there, but you can read it for free on Webtoon or on her site.
Yeah. I kind of want to say that this webcomic, I know we say 30 pages, but I found myself compelled to read the entire thing and was still curious after the fact. The first story arc is a complete arc, and if you read and end there, you will be satisfied. It is a satisfying completion. There's no deep, dark mystery that you have to wade through 150 pages to get to. There's no, I don't know. There's the telling of the story is I think also fine. The artwork is very nice. Although I don't know about the cleaned up style yet. I just looked at one page, but the less clean chapter 1 or first arc was fine artistically. I kind of liked it, and it's an all around good comic. And I liked the problem that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Yeah, and yeah, it's there's a little mystery to it, but it's not one of those words like what the hell is going on? You have to read 100 pages so you can understand it, and it's nothing like that. It's pretty clear what's going on. I mean, just enough mystery to keep you going, but not so that you're like completely baffled.
yeah, I would say it's not mystery as much as it's just compelling. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of what the fuck moments, but they just help to push the story along. One point though, why Evil Witch Allie? What's evil about her?
Right. Yeah, she hasn't shown any tendency to be evil.
Yeah, she's actually kind of a good person, and a little bit clear-minded as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd really like to know how old she actually is. It's not really clear.
Yeah, everybody thinks that she's like an elementary kid. But
right, yeah, they're asking her about her parents and do we need to call them, and she doesn't seem to have any parents to go to.
Yeah. To find out that she's actually 200 years old and her parents died long ago. I don't know, but yeah. I am kind of curious about this character, and I'd like to know more.
Mm-hmm. We got an email from Derek Chow at Irrational Comics. So in episode 107, 108, 109 of Critiquing Comics, we talked about their pitch page where they're putting up 12 pages of 5 different comics and having people choose which one they like best and would like to read more of. And he says, I'm writing to express thanks and gratitude on behalf of myself as well as all writer contributors in the Pitch Anthology for the feedback and critique you and Mulele have given us. We will definitely take your feedback into account as we proceed from here. I've listened to a few of your podcasts and I do enjoy them, most recently the one with Jim Zub, Deconstructing Comics a few weeks back. The knowledge and stories that Jim has graciously shared on your podcast are very informative and insightful. I hope to tune in to more of your comics-related podcasts. Once again, thank you so much, and I wish you a great weekend. Cheers, Derek.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, actually, I enjoyed going through it and talking about it. I wouldn't mind doing it again next time he does what would it be, a contest, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're doing this every year or how that works, but yeah, send it to us again if you do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our contacts. Mulele, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'm at mulele.com, Mulele, and most of the social stuff you can find me at Mulele Redux, Redux. For Google or Twitter or sorry, not Google, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm trying a new thing where I'm actually posting on these. Hopefully.
Wow, who would have thought of that?
hopefully, once every day or two, just to keep people updated about what I'm doing and artwork and whatnot. But I mean, part of me, as I'm working on stories and stuff, and I'm not doing a webcomic at the moment, I'm trying to avoid like spoilers in my own stories. But what's a spoiler? What's not a spoiler? I don't know. It's like, okay, character A looked at character B in a certain way. I don't want to. Oh, and they're together in this scene, and that could be a spoiler. So I wound up posting nothing for months. And yeah, it's ridiculous. But I'm trying to post something just about every day on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Usually the same picture with some varying verbiage, because Twitter is not really good for speaking and Instagram isn't really good for pictures. So it's kind of weird, but there it is.
Anything you want to talk about as far as your comics work?
I'm working on Mindgator 2 right now. And it's a bit rough, but I'm pushing through. But a little bit separate to that, in February I put out this short comic called Night Mystery, or Yakai in Japanese, and I put out a Japanese version. It's risographed, limited edition, 100 copies only. I printed 50, sold out at Comitia, the local comic expo at Tokyo Big Sight. I printed another 50, which will complete the run. Plus, I printed 100 copies of Night Mystery 2, so it's a new story, which I'm going to debut at next month's Comitia. So that's May 6th at Tokyo Big Sight. So if you're around and you want to pick up a copy, please swing by and do, or just say hi if you're in town. These comics will be available in English eventually, but printing is a little bit difficult right now financially, so I'm waiting a little bit on that, and I'm trying to limit the amount of time that I work on other projects other than Mindgator, because Mindgator should be done already.
And you already did a Kickstarter for that, right?
I did a Kickstarter for it, yeah. And the Kickstarter was successful. And now I need to just finish the comic and get everybody's rewards out to them. But yeah, it'll be just a little bit still.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm at Decon Comics on Twitter. And I use that for everything, deconstructing comics, critiquing comics, to the bat polls, because I don't have time to maintain any more social media than I'm already doing. And of course on Facebook we have a page and also a group. And if you'd like us to critique your comic, you can contact us through one of those, or you can send an email to mail@deconstructingcomics.com. Send us a PDF or a link, and we'll read at least 30 pages and talk about it here. So, until next time, this is Tim.
And Mulele.
Thanks for listening to Critiquing Comics.